Hello and welcome to Cindershadow Gaming. I am your host, Cindershadow. And today I'm going to bring up a more serious topic here. I hope you guys are in for the listen. Well, recently in the news there was a very disturbing dark past show up for Canadians, and it reminds us of all where things came from and gone to and where they're going and stuff like that. But if you haven't been paying attention, there is now outcries to cancel Canada Day. As a Canadian myself, this is a concept that I just don't get. The whole idea of Canada Day was it's to celebrate the independence of Canada from pretty much the British Empire back in the day. It was originally formed on July 1st, 1867, when passing the Constitutional Act of Canada, where Canada, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick at the time were considered colonies, and they became one single dominion with the British Empire called Canada. And then in 1982, it was renamed as Canada Day under the Canadian Constitution. And this ultimately is the independence of Canada being being its own country and being a sovereign nation and stuff like that. And there is still British ties in the UK and everything like that. We still have the Queen on our money. We still have things like that. But for some, with the findings of 215 children in Kamloops, there's renewed hatred towards other people and hatred towards our history as Canadians. And rightfully so. It's not something to take lightly when 215 kids were just tossed aside. This is something that I've sat there looking at for the last couple of weeks. And when I heard that news that they had found these graves, I'm deeply saddened by the announcement of that. So this is just a little bit of a take on it. I'm not going to go into all the stuff and all the news articles and the Canada Day, but it's the fact that I'm recording this. I'm seeing stuff on Twitter and around here and there where people are saying cancel Canada Day, and I don't see that. That's not the spirit of what Canada Day was, to cancel it over stuff of a dark history with the residential schools. The residential schools are, in all intents and purposes, nowadays an inexcusable act that Canadians did, and it's really unfortunate that we're talking about it today. It's something that shouldn't have happened, and the fact that it did happen is really saddening. And I think there is a lot of people that have the right to be upset at this. I think this has brought up a scarring that is deep in Canadian history and everything like that. And it's really, these kids never grew up. The families of these kids are completely devastated to find out that their lives didn't matter. And it's really, really disheartening to me and disheartening to a lot of other fellow Canadians that this happened. And I'm very saddened by the news that they found them. And there's now renewed calls for more of these schools, these old schools, to be searched for more graves. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do find more. There's renewed challenges here where people want to rename LRT stations and public schools because they're named of people that may have ties to these residential schools. But just to rename them doesn't undo that harm. It really it just more hides the fact that that this happened on Canadian soil, that the people in charge really dictated how things are, and it's really unfortunate that this type of thing happened. And in everything that we're seeing right now in Canada, there is conflict in Nova Scotia with the fishermen that are out there. The Indigenous people of Nova Scotia out there are allowed by the original Constitution to and treaties that were set upon when everyone settled in the land of Canada, for them to be able to fish and to take care of the land and to earn a modest income and stuff like that. And the more commercialized people are really fighting against this, and brawls have broken out here on the eastern coast of Canada over that. And it's really disheartening to see that they're fighting over fish in the ocean, and in some of these settlements with the treaties, some of them just don't have running water even. And it's we're a first world nation, and we're seeing people being tossed aside, and it's been happening for years. And all rights, I know people have the right to be angry, and there is a lot that can be done, but to turn around and say that Canada is no longer a nation, that we shouldn't celebrate our independence, that we shouldn't celebrate the nation, is very disheartening. There is a lot of things that are very positive in this country. We're known as some of the most nicest people in the world, but we didn't get there because of all of these schools. Those schools were part of the history and a very dark learnings from Canada, and nothing that can ever be said or done can fix the harm that actually did cause. It's very disheartening. I just, this is why I've put this video together. It's just my thoughts on this. I'm playing the Magic Arena in the background, because that's something that I do. That's how I relax and try and not worry about everything in the world. So, if you guys tone this out and put on another show, or put on some music and just watch the matches in the background, then all for it, right? I'm all for that. And that's why I didn't put my face in this one. Why I'm not speaking from any articles. I'm just trying to speak from my life experience, and not knowing about so much of the residential schools is it's telling that none of this we grew up with. When I went through school, I knew nothing of them. I never did. I even did stuff with Indigenous, and I went to camps and learned the history and know more of that. But none of that throughout even the camps locally had stuff like that. Like I'm talking like summer camps and stuff like that. But none of that ever came up. It all was like arts and crafts and smudging with sweetgrass and smudge sticks and stuff like that. And it never was anything to do with that. And the history of the residential schools are very, very disheartening. They're a black eye, a real black eye on Canadian soil. And honestly, I don't know who is really to blame other than the people that lived back then when these schools were brought together. But these schools didn't close. I think the last school closed in 86 or something like that, or 96, or even, which is a very long time going. I was born in the 80s, and I was growing up without a care in the world. And now 40 years later from when I was born, it's disheartening to really be learning about all of this and seeing it in the media. This is something that honestly there is renewed calls here in Alberta in particular for this to be part of our history lessons. And I can understand why. When I went through the school system and never touched any of it and never knew about any of it. But of course that was back in the 80s. And if these schools were still operating, we're now 20 years past them operating, over 20 years. So now they're digging up what's going on here, and I think it's a dark history that does need to be learned. And what can we learn from it is all intents and purposes here. I think it's an atrocity that we actually am seeing this now. It's there's a lot of people out there that are disheartened by this, that it's bringing up renewed scarring. Um, Now, really, this video, I was debating on even making this video and stuff like that. And after seeing today, like today is Sunday the 6th, June the 6th, when I'm recording this. This will be a few days out there. It'll be a few days after I record this that this is released to the world. And I'm just saddened by everything I've seen. It's not something I ever expected that would be dug up and known about Canadians. And today I'm very, very disheartened, very, very upset at what I've seen of our history. And I hope that we can all do better. But when it comes down to it, ripping down statues and canceling holidays and everything like that? No, that's not what they are. Maybe it's times when we sit there, we look at these statues, or we look at Canada Day. It's time to reflect and know that that was our past, and know that we're better today. Stuff that happened in the past, we've seen this around the world lately with all the protests. We'll call them peaceful protests here. Not saying they were. We know that they're very disheartening. And when you're trying to bring up things of the past, that's not how you learn. You learn from the past. You don't cancel from the past. And that's part of what I'm saying here. If you want to cancel everything today for something that happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago at this point, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to revert us back to those days and bring them back, and you don't learn from them. You know, things that need to be done. We need to see that these the lands the people are on for treaty and stuff like that, that they need to get running water. That I think is a ultimate thing that Canada has really failed currently to do for some of these communities. I do. My father was, from my understanding, French Métis, and then there was also some on my mom's side. So I do draw to that, but I don't hold any status. It's mainly because, from my understanding, we never went through the proper chains, and there is a lot of people out there. The rules have relaxed to try and get stuff like that, but I don't see the real need for that, other than maybe getting something more for having it, and you get a little bit of extra things out of it. And ultimately, I'm not for that. I'm for paving my own way and doing my own thing. But when I saw the stories breaking on the residential schools, it really saddened me. I have a little one of my own, and just to think that now these little ones that were there, they didn't grow up with their family. They were taken from their family, and then they were tossed aside, plain and simply, because no one cared for them back then, and they only cared about dismantling the once nation of Canada and the people that are here. And it's not something I ever expected I would be talking about today, let alone learning about today. It's very disheartening to hear, and I hope that going forward as a nation, as Canadians, as people, we can all heal from this, and do more to build up each other, because that's who we are. We are Canadians. We build each other up. We hold everyone high. And we've said to the nations of the world for a long time, Canada is a great place to live and grow up. And now I'm seeing the dark history of the past. Like, that's not what I was told as a kid. That's not what I grew up as a kid. I grew up not knowing any of this, and it's not anything I ever expected. Anyway, guys, we're going to rise from this, much like the Phoenix. That's part of why I have the Phoenix as part of the channel, and why I've been tagging myself as the Proud Canadian Phoenix, just so we always build ourselves up better and build ourselves up greater. It's a rise from the ashes and all that good stuff, and to be more than what we were yesterday or years ago. We're always growing, and that is part of it. And so, yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening to my rambles. This is something that I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, you can't cancel Canada Day. It's still who we are. We're still a nation. We're still going to grow together. But things of the past are very dark. What are we going to learn from it? And how are we not going to repeat the past? If you want to cancel everything, that's how the past repeats itself. That's how things fall on bad times. And no, we're not building down that nation that we once grew. We're building it better. We're still building it better. It was burnt down a few times in the past. There's no reason to go back to that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have yourselves a great day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, those links are down below.